Earlier in the day, we had a very specific question from Gabriella of the Network Support Unit in Greece, looking for some sort of practical guidance on making the connection between operational groups and Horizon. Gabriella, did you want to repeat your question on the microphone, with the microphone?
Yes, of course. Hi. I was wondering how, in practice, we can link the results of the projects of Horizon, and I imagine that this is a huge project to collect the useful projects and the useful and to filter all the because I imagine that we have to do some work on the results in order to best fit with the needs or the results of the operational groups. So the basic thing that we can do, as I can imagine, is to do a database of and to put all the results there, but then the information is not so. I can imagine how to help the actors to have the best, let's say, the best input from these results, and to make them more competent. Yeah, let's say this is my reflection about this option that you recommend for the CAP networks to enhance and foster the linkages between the OGs and the Horizon projects. Thank you.
Inge, do you have any tips and tricks?
Of course, we will hear a little bit more in the next presentation from Marta, but I could already say now that I realize this is a big job for CAP networks, and that's exactly why what I was just explaining, at EU level, we are trying to make a good, comprehensive for all member states and all projects database, and that we hope that you all try to be interoperable, respect the minimum standards that are needed, so that that information can automatically flow to you. And then your national database should be open to anybody with an interest in practical information, whether it's an advisor or a farmer or maybe a policymaker or a researcher who wants to do research on that subject, etc. So, but of course, this is not for next year. It's going to be, again, an evolution, but maybe a revolution here in this case. So what I would do is to start to kick this off, to start working with your advisors, because then you already are into the subject of connecting advisors with the CAP networks. That's exactly the strategic approach that we like. And maybe with some researchers who are competent on specific theme, I would pick out a number of themes that seem for Greece quite important. I give an example: drought, right? Very important for Greece. And I would ask them, and this could then be an intervention, for instance. It's an idea for an intervention, and you could test it out in an operational group, to put these advisors and researchers together with the CAP network and test it out as a pilot, even now in this transitional period. It doesn't take so much time to just make a number of events around a number of themes that are important, and you can judge on that, and even together you could judge on that, maybe better than alone. And around these themes, make a number of meetings where you let the advisors and the researchers pick out interesting things that they've seen that are ready for practice, that can be used in Greece. So this is just a simple idea I'm throwing here, inventing on the spot, but that could immediately already bring your acres closer together, bring practice information to your farmers that is maybe developed in one of our other countries, and you would play a central role in this without too much effort as a CAP network. It's more making the linkages, finding the people, putting them together. In a CAP network, you have money to do a number of events. That's part of the CAP network. You have to, this is the regulation saying you have to present good examples. So this is exactly what Article 13 of the regulation says. This is your job. So this could be an easy start even before you even have a database or whatever. And once the project for this database, they will be selected and could start by July next year. Or maybe even June. I heard from our research executive agency, the first ones. Once they have started, they should help all the ACEs, you included as CAP network of the Greek ACEs, in the setting up of a database to ensure that it's interoperable, and to explain you what they can offer, what I did in short in my little presentation here, but with all the practical details or questions that you might have. And from there, if there's a political will to start up such a database, I'm not saying that this will be the case, but it looks like many countries really have an interest in this, and even at our level, our DG is super enthusiastic about this for the simple reason that it doesn't exist. We have plenty of databases on everything, and often much too complicated in their drafting. And if we make something attractive, simple, photos, YouTubes for practice, that's really a hole in the market, I would say. We don't have this, and we absolutely need this because there's plenty of transitions to be done. There's plenty of challenges, from climate change to all these Green Deal targets to be covered, etc. So in order to cover those, exactly, we have the cross-cutting objective and the ACES approach. So we are there to serve you with whatever needs to be done. And that's also how you could, for instance, for these meetings, choose your themes, the ones that are most urgent for your situation, and you would know that from the SWOT and the needs assessment for your CAP plan. Organize a number of meetings around that. You make it as a testing project. You make an operational group out of it, and try it out and see if maybe it's a good idea for an intervention for the future, before maybe possibly in the future you really make a database and a real back office for advisors, or wherever it's placed. We said at the CAP networks or at the advisors. Dimitri's question of an hour ago, that doesn't matter, but of course, in the end, it would be very useful to have somewhere this database with practical knowledge, and in a way that it is known and promoted with your people in the ACES in Greece, that they know to find it. And also this will need extra efforts. And here again, the CAP network is an important player to make sure that these connections are made and that the people can find it, that the advisors know where it is, that the farmers know where it is, the farmers' organizations, and everybody involved in the ACES in the end. So I hope this is a bit replying your question, but I think Marta can make it even more practical.
Yes, certainly. I'm really keen to hand over to Marta now, but I would like to leave actually a question with you, Inge, to reflect upon. Now, in our personal experience, we often find network support units and other key players asking the question, how do we find the horizon projects in our own country? Now, you were referring very much to the EIP-AGRI operational groups, but how does a network support unit find those organizations, institutions and partners who are active in Horizon? Now, Gabriella has a big advantage because the Agricultural University of Athens is very active, but there are many, many, many other partners, Greek partners, who might not be so visible. Can you maybe reflect on that and offer some practical advice on how people can find these Horizon partners? You've got your hand up.
Yes, because of course I'm not completely knowledgeable about all our countries and how these things work, where it is presented. I can just say that we have an NCP who's putting this on a website. So NCP, National Contact Point for Horizon, and they put it on a website. And my guess is that this is the case in most countries. But the NCPs that are here with us, that was what I wanted to ask. Maybe they can help us in replying this question.
Yeah, that's a super. It's a super way to start the discussion. First of all, maybe I think there were at least 3 NCPs who are in the call. Maybe you could just put your name and your country into the chat so we can see who you are. But if anyone has a specific response to this question, how does somebody find who is active in Horizon 2020 in their country, in their member state? Because I have to tell you, here in Romania, we don't have such a central facility. It's very, very difficult to find other organizations, whether they're universities, institutions or SMEs, who are active in Horizon. Marta, you've got your hand up, please.
Hello. The European Commission has databases where all this information is provided. Through the funding and tender portal, you can see through Cordis all the projects that are financed, but also has a very powerful tool, which is the dashboard, where you can get analytics from the participation of the different countries in the different programs of the European Commission. So this is the official tool and website to look for this information.
That's wonderful.
Marta, is this also referring to the exact project or just on the number of participation? But does it also reveal exactly which projects your country is involved in?
Well, the dashboard is more an analytical tool, like to know the participation in terms of institutions, money, and so on. And in Cordis, you can see the different projects that are financed in the different calls and in the different issues.
Yes, so you have on the one hand, in Cordis, you have per project, the content of the project and the partners involved. Yeah. Then you have the dashboard where you can find where the countries, the member states are participating in. But do you know with the dashboard in which projects they are in? No. I see Mark nodding no. So we missed something there.
Yes, you do miss something. And I mean, firstly, thank you for Marta for drawing attention to the dashboard. The dashboard is a very, very powerful analytical tool. And it's very interesting, and you can identify who is most active, the levels of funding, etc., their location. You can search by regions, etc. But you cannot do a specific search that links, for example, a project on drones to a member state. You cannot actually search on a specific project. Equally, inside of Cordis, an unbelievably powerful database, but you cannot search Cordis, for example, on the basis of a theme or a member state. So there is a bit of a gap there. But please correct me if I'm wrong, Marta, because obviously you're much more deeply into this.
Yeah, no, it is the way you are saying.
Yeah. Marta, we owe you a really big thanks. Your presentation, which we're about to see now, has been really highly appreciated in all of the previous webinars. We have had people requesting specifically, could they share your presentation with their own NCPs, etc., etc. So it's really, really inspiring. But can I ask you one small thing? Before we show your presentation, can you explain to us in a little bit more detail what your responsibility is as a national contact person? What does an NCP do?
Okay, I work at CDTI, which is an organization belonging to the Ministry of Science and Innovation in Spain. And we have the responsibility of acting as delegates in the program committees of Horizon Europe, Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe in the future, and also acting as national contact points. And in our duties, what we try to do is to help applicants. Right now for Horizon Europe, we have been nominated 5 people from 3 different organizations so that we can support all applicants in Spain so that they succeed in Horizon Europe in the whole cluster 6. And our daily work is like to receive updated information about Horizon Europe, the calls, organize events, big events, smaller events, workshops. We receive hundreds of questions from applicants. We try to answer them, and we support them from the beginning of preparing the proposal until the end, until it is submitted in the call. And we check their proposals and we give them advice. I mean, this is the main task we do as national contact point.
Super, thank you very much for that clarification.